Hi, I'm Renarta Clanton-Mpyd. I'm a communications specialist with the Cumberland County Schools and your host of Get Connected. This month, we're doing something a little different. Now, as we discuss the Cumberland County Schools' effort to be a part of a partnership that's changing the face of civic leadership in our community, I'll be seated in a guest chair. 3 other guests and I will discuss with our surprise host the impactful work of the Institute for Community Leadership on this edition of Get Connected.
In 4 out of 5 school shootings, the attacker tells someone about it first. Call 1-866-SPEAK-UP to report a weapon threat at school.
We were in an emergency situation. We don't have extra. We have a little bit of water and a little bit of food. A meeting place, no.
No.
I don't think we have a first aid kit.
We have tuna fish, we have beans, we have canned tomatoes,
True.
you know.
That's true, but that's really not survival food. Tomato paste.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Thanks for joining us for the edition of Get Connected. We will be discussing the school system's partnership with ICL, or the Institute for Community Leadership, and impact on those who are serving our community. Joining is Ms. Renarta Clanton-Mpyd, the Executive Director of ICL, and the ICL Board Member, Dr. Drew Ziegler. During the second half of our show, we will talk in depth with 2 ICL graduates who are successfully serving our community. Renarta and Dr. Ziegler, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is kind of a change in positions.
Yeah. I have no control.
No control, no control. The reason I want to do this and to moderate this was because, you know, you're the executive director as part of your responsibility, and then Dr. Ziegler, you've been a part of this all along, and I thought it would be good to reverse roles so that in fact you could be a part of the interview because of your role. So Dr. Ziegler, you've been with this program the longest, so tell us a little bit about how ICL got started and what its impact.
Well, thank you for having me on this program, and that's a great question. And we're over 10 years now since ICL first got started. In the year 2002, former city manager Roger Stansel and community leader Dr. Lolita Foster had lunch one day in Fayetteville and talked about the need to encourage people to get involved in the community in a leadership role, and how it seemed, in their view, that it was always the same people at the meetings and at the different events, and they would like to see some new faces. So they convened, they invited leaders from across the community to meet about a month or 2 later and to just talk about how they could do that. And over the course of about a year, what emerged was a type of an academy or an institute that would actually train people to become involved. And so here we are 10 years later, and we think they have been very successful.
Very good. Renarta, tell me a little bit. You're the executive director this year, and
Yes.
it rotates. Each one of the institutes that are a part of this, I think, take a 2-year turn at being the executive director.
Exactly.
And it's the school district's turn, so you've picked this up. Tell us a little bit about the program this year and the things that we can look for the people who are currently in Class 9.
Well, the program this year it's the same type of programming, but just a little different in that we have this year, for the first time ever, almost 50 participants. I think in the past it's been about 30, 33, something of that nature. So it's a little different this year. We have about 50, like I said, about 50 participants. And this group is very energetic. You can tell they're go-getters. They're ready to get out there and serve. However, we're taking that time to go through 7 months of training where they'll be able to, right now in the stages of getting to know one another and build those bonds, but then we'll be going and doing some teamwork. They'll be able to explore topics regarding communications, team building, just a whole, just a plethora of different topics.
Is the goal simply to give them more skills, or is the goal to make them much more a part of the community?
It's to give skills. We first of all are identifying, then we're developing skills, as well as empowering them to, because a lot of them are competent leaders, but it's just to try to, make them feel more confident about what they're doing, give them some real good skills so that when they go out to be a part of commissions or boards here in our community, they're able to add to what is already being done.
Now, Dr. Ziegler, looking back, this is the 9th class, and you were part, maybe not the first meeting, but certainly at the meetings that followed.
Right.
So you're a part of the founding. When you look back, like they say, turn the videotape back or whatever back, how has this evolved compared to the original vision? Is it different, the same, or how is it?
It's close to the same. There have been some adjustments over the years, but the concept is the same in that each of the 7 sessions is in a different location. So we've continued with that model, and one session would be in City Hall, one would be with the county. The Arts Council hosts a session, and Fayetteville Tech, school system, Fayetteville State, and Methodist, those are the 7 sessions. And many of the participants have never been to some of those locations. They've never been to City Hall. They've never been to a county office. So for them, it's an eye-opener and it's a good opportunity. So that concept has been the same. Another similarity is that each session has 2 components. One is very important, the skills training that Renarta mentioned, but also they get to meet a panel of community members that are already involved and ask some questions, have some Q&A, and the panel members talk about how they got involved and why they got involved. So there's that interaction as well. And we've kept that model throughout the whole period also.
Now, do they simply come to the sessions, like for example, at FTCC and as we say in the school system, sit and get? Or is there an expectation that something's going to come out of being in, like for example, Class 9 or Class 7 or whatever?
Well, they do some homework. Renarta puts this big book together with read-ahead materials for each session. And in some cases, they have to complete some exercises. So they do that before each session. And they get a benefit in that each session begins with a meal. So they have about 30 minutes of social time and chow time, and that really allows them to bond and get to know each other much better than perhaps otherwise. And then they launch into the sessions. So it's very interactive. It's not just sit back and absorb.
Exactly.
Now, Dr. Ziegler named 7 people or 7 locations they have meetings, and those 7 institutions make presentations, and of course then they rotate the chair that you've done now. But you have to be at one of those 7 institutions to be a member of ICL, or is it open to people outside those?
No, it is a closed, all the sessions are closed, only to the participants. And as far as attendance is concerned, the participants are required, that is a requirement of the program, they have to attend every session in order to receive a certificate of completion. If they miss a session, then they, of course, will, that's fine. But miss 2 sessions, you can continue to come to the meetings, but you won't receive that certificate of completion.
But, okay, but do I have to work for one of those 7 institutions? So for example...
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. No, so if I work for, let's say I work for a defense contractor, or I'm a child care provider, no affiliation with any of the 7, I can still apply to be accepted?
Yes, without a doubt. When we did the marketing and the public relations, trying to get, recruit participants this year, we try to put the information out to the public in the newspapers, the radio. We did several radio interviews and things of that nature because we want the public as a whole to be a part of ICL. It just happens to be that these 6 partnering institutions have paid into the partnership to provide this service to the community free.
So it's a free, Dr.
It is
Ziegler,
free.
it's free. So
Yes,
if
sir.
I'm out there and I want to apply to be a part of, I guess, class 10,
That's 10.
Exactly.
it would be free to me?
Correct.
And you know what, actually I want to add this as well, Dr. Till. January, we are talking about putting the application online at www.leadership4us.org. So people can go there, click on, look at the application, complete it, and go on and send it in. And the deadline is normally around the 10th or 11th of July. So they have like about 7 months to get the application complete. It doesn't take that long. But, you know, it's open to everyone, and we hope everyone will apply.
Now, since you have these 6 or 7 institutions, and let's say I'm out there right now, I don't have a pencil, and all those WWs went too fast.
Okay.
Do you have links on the school? Like, for example, you went to the school board website. Is there a link that would take me over there, or go to the colleges?
On the Methodist University homepage is a link for ICL, and I believe all the sponsors have a link in their homepage that'll take them to that website.
Okay, so if I'm sitting out there and I thought, boy, I'd really like to do that, but I don't have a pencil, and I remembered a month from now, or I see something that triggers it, I can go to Methodist or the school district's website, and they'll say ICL. So all I have to remember
Exactly.
is ICL.
Correct.
Now, if you're out there and you're sitting out there watching this, Dr. Ziegler, tell them about why you think it's important. 10 years ago or so, you were part of a group that started this. Why is it important to Cumberland County today as opposed to 10 years ago?
I guess we've graduated over 100 participants at this point, and
219.
Oh, 219. Oh, I
219.
was thinking 100.
Wow.
And most of these are currently involved in the community, and that's and they keep Renarta informed of where they are involved. And it's a long list of they're serving on the board for the Gilbert Theater, the Arts Council, the Dogwood Festival, the International Folk Festival, Fascinate You Museum, and the city and the county have several boards and commissions. The Appearance Board, the Board of Adjustment. They are deacons in their churches, Sunday school leaders, in the PTA organizations, just across the board. These folks are involved, and I think that is really the original vision that Dr. Foster and Mr. Stansel had, was to bring new faces into all of these boards, government boards, nonprofit agencies, schools, churches, just across the city.
And you know what? Could I add something as well?
Sure.
I'm seeing that as I'm working with ICL, that it's really set up too for people who want to have a voice, who feel as though they have leadership skills, but then they want to have a voice in how our community is run, where we work, live, and play. And they want to have the opportunity to make some changes, and be prouder of where we live. So,
But they just don't know how. They don't know how to take that first step. How do I get plugged in? And so this provides them with knowledge, information, and confidence in regard to how they can take that first step and get involved.
Well, I would think it would also provide them with the beginning of a network.
That's correct.
Because I'm part of a class. I'm sure you probably have reunions, and so people come back, but they get to know each other, and so as they serve on this board, they begin to get that critical mass and move forward. We're about out of time here. I told you this was going to go very
that
fast.
went so quickly.
I told you it's going to go fast. But the real key with ICL is if you want to get involved, you go to the website, begin to look now, because the application is going to be out in January. And so you can begin to fill out. It's a very simple online application. And then, I always say school year, but next fiscal year, they'll be notified. They'll begin to go to meetings, they'll begin to learn. And the key is you want people who want to get involved and make a difference in the community.
Exactly. And you
Correct.
don't necessarily have to have a college degree or a high school education, just someone who you have a
Passionate.
voice and you want to serve.
Passionate.
That's
So I
right.
thank both for your leadership in the
Thank
community, and I think this is a great project. And thank you, Dr. Ziegler, for being here, and thank you for your vision, and thank you, Renarta, for picking up this torch and seeing it to the next level and the success of 50 people in Class 10, or, excuse me, Class 9.
That's right.
55 in Class 10, right?
Yeah, we're going to go for 60.
60. Thank you very much.
All right.
We'll be right back after our break.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
And it's a block punt.
What kind of kick was that? You gotta be kidding me!
Hey, hot shot. Sounds like you know a lot about the game. You should put that to good use.
There are plenty of ways that you can volunteer in your community.
You just need to figure out what you like to do and pass it on to others. Show them how to kick that ball.
To find out ways you can volunteer in your community, log on to teensvolunteer.org.
Ow.
Do what you like to do. Volunteer.
Great, this time try to kick the ball.
So, Malcolm, you do know that energy savers last 6 times longer than ordinary light bulbs.
This isn't my room. It's Baron Davis's.
Baron Davis, the basketball player? This is his room?
Yep.
Interesting, because we have Baron Davis right here. Baron, do you live here?
No.
I don't mean that, Baron Davis.
Millions of kids are using their energy wisely. What's your excuse?
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected. Our guests this half of the show are 2 community leaders who have successfully completed the ICL program. It's Jasmine Coleman, a recent graduate of the program. You said Class 8?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Dr. John Edwards, a graduate of Class 6. We are discussing the positive impact ICL has on the direction of leadership in our community. Jasmine, first tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your class and why you even want to be a member of ICL.
Okay, well, thank you for having me here. And I am actually a Cumberland County native. There's not too many of us. My family, I'm from Spring Lake originally, and my family's been there since before there was a Spring Lake. So I proudly profess to being a Cumberland County native. I even tried to escape by going in the Army, and they brought me right back to Cumberland County. So I'm resolved to my fate that I belong in Cumberland County. And as such, I realize that this is a wonderful place to live and to raise your family and to grow. But I wanted to be involved in making it an amazing place to live and raise your family and to grow. So that's what attracted me to the ICL program, to be around other like-minded individuals that want to be involved in making this community a better place.
Thank you. Dr. Edwards, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose to apply and be a member of ICL Class 6.
Well, I've always been interested in working in the community. I've been active in the Boy Scout program and in my church programs. When I saw the opportunity to apply and participate in the Institute for Community Leadership, I felt like that would be the next best step for me to develop the skills that I'm interested in learning in one way, and also an opportunity to make the community a better place, quite frankly. I wanted to learn what opportunities there were to serve in the community. I have kids at home, and as all good parents will agree with probably, I wanted to be a part of making the community a better place for my children.
How did you hear about the program?
Well, I work at FTCC, which is one of the sponsoring organizations, and so I learned of it through the FTCC website. I clicked on the link, read the information, looked into it, and I submitted the application at that point. It was a fairly quick process for me at that time.
Great. And Jasmine, how did you hear about it?
I was actually at the time working for Fayetteville State, and a friend of mine, a coworker, her mother had completed the program, and I saw it on our website at Fayetteville State at the time, and I said, oh, this is interesting. And I submitted my application and was later selected as a participant in the Class 8.
Now they talk about class projects and they talk about activities and skill building. What was the one skill session that you would sort of tickle the curiosity of people out there that you just enjoyed the most?
I think the session we had with at Cumberland County Schools, that was the one that was very interesting to me because, again, being a native, all of my formal education occurred in Cumberland County. I even attended university at Methodist, so again, I couldn't escape. So Cumberland County is the center of my universe, at least. And so when we went out to the board and got to meet different members and got to see people who were involved in contributing now to my children's education, but to also see other members of my class realizing what we could do to make things better in regards to what's going on in the county for our children and what we need to do as parents and concerned citizens to really enhance the education system here in Cumberland County. So that, for me personally, was something that was of great interest.
Great. And Dr. Edwards, what about you? What was the one session in your year's experience that just sticks out the most for you?
Well, I also enjoyed the session at Cumberland County School Systems. It was very interesting and entertaining. It was an activity-based training session. There was another session also that I remember, and I think it might have been at Methodist. Remember, it's been a few years, I'm trying to remember. But the skill set that we were learning about in the first hour of the meeting dealt with conflict resolution and problem solving. And basically the presenter had us in groups and really it was a game that we played, and from that activity the presenter then spent some time talking about the skills that it takes that we identified within that activity, and I remember that fondly. It was a great learning experience, and it was enjoyable.
Great, yeah. Great. Now you all work in the community, live in the community. You've been here, most of your life, except for I guess the Army took you away a couple times.
One year.
One year. Renarta and Dr. Ziegler and the board has done a great job. They have 50 members now, or 50 class members. They're looking for 60 next year. So tell some people out there, again, you can go on all these institutions' website and find ICL. Tell them why you would encourage them to even do this. Because it is a commitment of 7 meetings. Renarta's already laid it down that you've got to come. You can't just come and not come and still get diploma or graduates and things like that. So tell us why you would encourage people from FTCC or just out there to be a part of that.
Well, based on my personal experience, as I said, I was motivated in part by the opportunity to learn some skills and to develop some skills that I thought would be important in life, and I was able to do that. In addition to that, the opportunity to meet some really neat people and to spend time getting to know people that are important in the community, people that you have a lot in common with, it's just a great opportunity to become involved and to develop yourself at a personal level, but then also to help develop the community at the community level is a great experience.
Now, does Class 6 have like a network where you still get together to talk about projects, or are you sort of falling apart?
Well, in the beginning, we had for about a year, there were quite a few of us that communicated quite regularly. I wouldn't say that we've fallen apart We don't communicate as regularly and get together as often as we did after that first 6 months to a year. But I still see some of the class members. About a month ago here at FTCC, one of them came up and his wife was registering for classes here, and we were able to talk and to visit and to discuss things for a few minutes, and that was really neat.
So even though you don't have regular meetings, you still have a network?
I do. I do.
How about you, Jasmine? As a recent graduate, you graduated last May or June is when to graduate. What about you? How has your year been away from the program?
We've still maintained contact. If anyone's guilty of not being in as frequent contact, it would be me. I recently started attending law school in the evening, so I don't necessarily see them as much, but email correspondence, and as mentioned earlier, it's with so many people that are in the community, and you see people at the schools, or maybe even I've seen some of my classmates with their children at schools where I'm picking my kids up. So you'll see people out and about, and so it might not be a formal or structured environment, but you can still see one another, and it's good to maintain that contact, and especially once you start working with different boards and things throughout the community, and you say, oh, there's so-and-so, I remember him, or there's that nice guy from when we went to the Cumberland County schools, and I remember him as well. So it's an ongoing network, and it just continues to grow.
We have about a minute, and in that minute, I'd like you to talk about, if I'm looking at this, and I've heard, Renarta and Dr. Ziegler and the two of you, but it's still 7 meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about the workload. Is it like a class? Is it onerous? I mean, is it doable? I mean, you both were working full-time, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
It's actually something that you can manage, because it's not so much that as soon as you show up you have to turn in an assignment. It's more so that you get an overview of what will be discussed at the future sessions and kind of compile what you want to bring from your individual perspective to contribute to the group. So it's structured in the sense that they give you kind of a pre-outline of what's going to be covered, but not so much that they dictate that you have to turn in a graded assignment. So
I would say that it is time out of your schedule, and almost by definition, the people that are involved are very busy people. Of all of the leadership development activities and community-based activities that I've personally been involved with, this institute brings very important information to the forefront. I learned things that I did not know that I'm very glad that I know, and it has shaped a lot of my activity in the community.
That's great. First, I want to thank you for being here. In the community, you see that this is a resource. Renarta said to you that come January, we'll be posting on many websites. If you're interested in putting the time to learn more about the community, be a leader in the community, this is probably the best opportunity, particularly for those who are new in the community. It's a good place to know people. So thank you all for joining us today, and we'll close the show. And next month, Renarta will be back in her proper place. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Cumberland County School System, we want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of our show and for giving us a chance to help you get connected. Until next time.